Hello, Pastor Rick, Journey of Faith Baptist Church. I'm glad you stopped by today. We always appreciate you stopping by our channel, but it feels like we're just friends. It feels like you've stopped by my office and we're just having this wonderful chat together. So I'm always grateful for your time, and I'll try and always honor that as well. Today is the third installment on how to give a blessing. A blessing should never be anything that's just off the cuff, something that's quickly spoken that you not even think about. A blessing in the Bible was always meant to be something that was an emotional, maybe even close to a spiritual connection between two people, the one giving the blessing and the one receiving the blessing. Blessings were well thought out and tailored for each individual. They weren't just a general blessing, go have a good day. That's something so general and generic. Let me tell you, today in our installment, our third installment, I'm going to talk about attaching high value to the one that you're blessing. High value to the one that you are blessing. So let me get with it. I'm going to read from the New Living Translation today. We're going back to the Old Testament. We briefly talked about Isaac and Jacob last week, and Isaac is blessing Jacob. This is the last blessing. Isaac knows that his days are short and that he doesn't have much more time left on the earth. So he calls his sons in, and we're not going to go into all of the things that are going on in the background. I just want you to see what he is saying to Jacob, his son. From Genesis chapter 27, verses 28 and 29, reads like this. He speaks to his son, he says, "From the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, may God always give you abundant harvests of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants, and may they bow down to you. May you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed." Now it's interesting, that word blessed, to bless and to be blessed, is the Hebrew word barach. And it means to give high value, but it means to bow the knee in adoration. It's the picture also of a camel in those days, bowing down to allow its master to crawl up and get up on its back. But when concerning blessing God, it's the word barak means to adore with bended knee. Interesting, that verse says, "Cursed are those who curse you, and blessed are those who bless you." Later on, Jacob's name will be changed to Israel. But for now, the blessing expresses God's very best for you. And it's a very personal thing that Jacob is receiving from Isaac. He says that your brothers and all of the nations will bless you. They will be blessed. So let them bow the knee to you and serve you. Let them adore you with bended knee. What a neat blessing. What an intimate way to attach high value to his son. We're always telling our children that they should, we try and help our children's self-esteem. We try and tell them to have a good self-esteem and a positive self-esteem. And that's important. But you should also include that you're so important, God came into this world as Jesus to die for your sins. That's how important you are. See, God attached a high value to you and I. But sometimes we get so busy we don't pay attention to our children. My wife and I were in IHOP one time having breakfast, and I happened to notice this father and daughter sitting at the table just kind of across from us, and it was easy for me to glance over without being, obnoxious. And I noticed the daughter sitting there picking at her food, and she kept looking at her dad. But her dad he had one phone in front of him and one phone on his ear, and he was busy and he was doing transactions, and there was a newspaper and notes and all kinds of things. I just noticed that child felt so inadequate and so unloved. And a couple times she tried to get her dad's attention, and her dad would just look up and shush her and wouldn't let her talk. And we ate our whole breakfast that way. They finished their breakfast, and when they left, he was still on the phone, still doing business, and holding his daughter's hands. Now, folks, that daughter did not feel esteemed by her father. She felt like it probably felt like she didn't mean anything to her dad. He was just going through the motions. Well, let me give you 4 things to help you attach high value to the person you're wanting to bless. And this is for fathers or mothers. If you want to bless your child or you want to bless somebody else, let me tell you, you have to attach high value to them. For just a moment, I'm gonna go back to a different story in the Old Testament, and it's going to be between Solomon and his bride, the Shulamite woman. It's from the Song of Solomon, so you can look these things up later for yourself, and I'm just going to I'm just going to kind of comment on them, and I hope this means something to you. So the first thing we're going to do to help somebody, how we attach high value to somebody, is this: use an everyday object. Capture the character trait of that object. Here's what I mean. 7 times Solomon praises his bride and his wife to be. He says, "Behold, your eyes are like very fair, and they're like a dove behind the veil." Now, Solomon wasn't saying, "Yeah, you got bird eyes." No. He was attaching symbolism to the words. Words are sometimes 2-dimensional, but by attaching a picture to that word, it became 3-dimensional. He was saying your eyes are so lovely and dreamy, and that you were, how would I say it? You were gentle and shy like a dove, but that your eyes are magnetic to me. They captivate me. All of that is being communicated to his bride in the words that he used. Your eyes are like the eyes of a dove behind a veil. Oh, she knew the meaning of that. And his words were more than 2-dimensional, they were 3-dimensional. So use everyday objects to attach word pictures to help the person you're blessing feel highly valued. The second thing I want us to see today is that we match emotional meaning to a trait that you wish to praise. Match emotional meaning to a trait in the person you want to praise and bless. Now, let me give you an example. There's a mom came home with a brand new baby, and the older sister, she was excited about having a baby sister, and she was excited about being the big sister. And she did all kinds of things. She helped with the diapers, she helped with the powder, she helped with the feeding. And when the baby was feeding, she would stroke the baby's arm. And she was just always there doing things, wanting to be the big sister. And I'm sure sometimes she got in the way, but Mom was very wise in this. She noticed that her older daughter could feel the lack of attention, and it was weighing on her, and Mom wanted to help her. So they were watching a program one time about eagles. It was a nature program. It was about the mama eagle and how it takes care of the baby eagle. Well, a few days later, the mom asked the oldest daughter, "Do you remember that program that we watched about the mother eagle?" "Oh, yes, Mom, I do." And the little girl could just name off several things that she remembered that really stuck with her. Well, the mom, this wise woman, she had bought a stuffed eagle. and she hid it behind her back, and she pulled it out and she gave it to the child, and she said, "You are like this mama eagle." Do you know that that older daughter carried that eagle around for days and just hugged and held on to it? Why? Because it was a stuffed animal? No. It's because mom matched an emotional meaning to the trait she wanted to praise this little girl and bless this little girl with. That little girl understood the picture. And every time she saw that eagle and held it close, she realized she was like the mama eagle. All right. Moving on. The third thing I want us to do is use word pictures that unravel the defenses of the person you want to bless. In the Song of Solomon, the Shulamite woman begins in chapter 1, verse 6, where she says, "Don't look at me. I'm tanned and I'm brown. I'm not like the other women. Don't look at me. I'm dark-skinned." Obviously, she was a beautiful woman, or Solomon wouldn't be looking, but she had a low self-esteem of herself, a low self-esteem. But by chapter 2, verse 1, she says, "I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valleys." What changed? What changed? Well, Solomon spoke words into her life that unraveled her defenses. There are 50 times in that book alone that during the course of their life together that Solomon praises her, lifts her up, emotionally meets her needs, and her self-esteem changes. I mean, from a low self-esteem to this, I am of value. I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valleys. So use word pictures that unravel someone's defenses. When someone says, "Oh, I'm ugly," they're really saying, "Do you see anything in me of value? Is there anything? Do you see anything in me that means something?" Take that time. Paint a word picture for the one you want to bless, especially children, but it works for spouses as well. Finally, use word pictures to point out potential. Here's what I mean. Cephas, who was later to become Peter, Jesus renamed him Peter, the rock. Well, like the pebble, a rock. But Peter wasn't acting like a rock when he denied Christ, or he wasn't acting like a rock when he tried to keep Jesus from going to the cross. It wasn't until after Jesus died and rose again that Peter became the rock that Jesus said he would be. So Jesus set an inspiration in the heart of Peter. Jesus saw potential, and he gave Cephas this new name, Peter, to express high value. And it was a word picture. Cephas, you're going to be the rock that everyone looks to. Took a while for him to reach that potential, but picture for the person you're blessing high potential. What kind of potential does the person you're going to bless? Become a student of the person you want to bless, is what this really is all talking about. So let me quickly look. Use an everyday object to capture the character trait of the person you want to bless. Match an emotional meaning to the trait you wish to praise. Use a word picture that unravels their defenses and bolsters their self-esteem. And use word pictures to point out their potential. I know this is a lot. Go back and listen to this several times. Become a student of the one you want to bless. And it won't be so difficult. It won't be that hard. And you will change the life of a person. You will become a world changer when you bless. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Pastor Rick, Journey of Faith Baptist Church. So glad you were with us today. God bless.